people. So if we look at what Fowler says, he says there's 3 key stages to the disciplinary process. There needs to be an investigation, so that's what we've said already. You must thoroughly investigate it, and the reason to investigate is to determine whether or not disciplinary action is necessary. If you don't have enough evidence, you cannot go into a disciplinary interview. If you do have enough evidence and you believe that you have a valid reason to call your employee into a disciplinary interview, then you need to run that interview, and as I said, you will have the employee, they can bring their witness, so trade union rep or a colleague. There will be probably the manager running it and possibly someone from HR taking notes. So normally there's going to be 4 people in that interview. Now you will set the time and date of that interview, and the employee should be able to attend. If for any reason they can't, you will then set a different time and date. If on that second occasion the employee cannot attend for whatever reason, you will just run that interview without them. So it's very important that the employee does their utmost to actually attend that interview, because obviously then they can get their viewpoint across. But you will give them the opportunity to cancel it once, but not twice. And then once that interview has happened, you've looked through all the evidence, it's been scrutinised, you've had your adjournment, you've made your formal decision, then you need to explain the appeals process. So these 3 different stages need to be done by different people. So it may be you have your supervisor investigate, you have your manager interview, and then if it goes to appeal, you're going to need someone else to run that appeal. So it could be you start going sideways. It depends how big your organisation is. You may need to go sideways, or maybe you have another level of manager you could go up to. The reason you have 3 different people, or at least the person who investigates got to be different from the person who interviews, is so that it shows your process is fair. Now if your process is fair and there's no prejudgment going on, then that should be the end of it. Once that decision is made, that should be the final decision. If for any reason you've made a mistake somewhere along the lines and that procedure was not actually very fair, that's when the appeal will then kick in. Now, with regards to gross misconduct, if an employee carries out something that is identified as gross misconduct, they would normally be suspended on full pay during the investigation, and it could lead to instant dismissal. So, if we look at that first stage of investigation, the only difference here is that when you're investigating, you'll actually suspend your employee. They'll be on full pay, which again means you need that investigation to be thorough, but also not too long in how long you're going to take doing it. So, you don't really want to have anyone on suspension for more than a week. But obviously it depends on how serious it was. If it is very serious, obviously the investigation may take slightly longer. So the sorts of incidences that may lead to instant dismissal through gross misconduct would be theft, deliberate damage to company property, fraud, incapacity to work due to the influence of illegal drugs or alcohol, physical assault, sexual harassment, racial harassment, or serious infringement of any health and safety regulations. Now, this is not an exhaustive list, but this is the main reasons of why someone may could be dismissed due to gross misconduct. And in the disciplinary procedure that your company gives you, these examples should be listed in there. Now, what I want you to do is individually put together a flowchart to illustrate that disciplinary process that I've gone through. Now, it's very key that you get the stages of this process in the correct order, and you make this flowchart as detailed as possible. So if you need to go back and listen again to this video of exactly what I've said as to what needs to happen, and then put that into flowchart format, by all means do that. The other thing I suggest you do is on Moodle there is a handout of a typical example of a disciplinary procedure. Again, you can go through that handout, and that should again highlight some of the key areas that I've brought out, what needs to be in that flowchart. So I want you to spend a good 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, putting this flowchart together, and I want you to actually email this to me, and then I will look at your individual flowcharts and give you individual feedback on so I know that you have got this process correct. It is really, really key you understand